Hello, YouTube. So this is some minor, maybe not even a ranter, some flow of random consciousness on some interesting things that have happened today, based around this guy, Milo Yiannopoulos. Maybe have a little gin and tonic. Cheers. So, um, Milo today has released some leaked audio of Richard Spencer, but we'll come back to that in a second. I'm going to start this video on Anita Sarkeesian. And the reason I'm going to start there is because I was always fascinated. This is something that always fascinates me about the YouTubes, is you're always in a little kind of bubble, which is part of the way that YouTube sort of directs you around and the such like. Part of it is, those are the sort of things that YouTube thinks that you're going to be interested in. But the practical upshot is you end up in a bubble. Um, and uh, it it's interesting sometimes to get out of that bubble and look around. But for me, when I was looking at Anita Sarkeesian, the one thing that stunned me was just how little she actually produced in terms of intellectual content. I was aware of her long before her her game series, when she was just doing things on feminism, her proto feminist videos. In fact, there was one last video I was planning to make on her. Um, One of the videos that she made was cool. This is stretching the memory now. The Straw Feminist. And in that, she rants about how Hollywood portrays feminists as these extreme characters who will go to any length to, be feminists. And one example that she quotes of the straw feminist was a bunch of feminists on campus who basically go to staging a rape to be outraged about and try and get things reformed on campus or something. And this was a few years before the Duke Rolling Stones thing. And it was almost verbatim what she had proclaimed was the straw feminist, that it was some sort of crazy feminist who was going to find rape on campus, whether it existed or not. And she found it and published it, and everyone was outraged by it. Um, it was just one of those cute things. The thing that she was portraying as fiction to discredit feminists was exactly what happened. It was prophetic. It's exactly what happened a few years later. Anyway, and that was long before she got into video games. So I always kind of, suspected that, I knew that she was, if it came down to the arguments, she was going to crash and burn. And that's kind of where it was, that what she was in terms of what was her appeal. She was outraged by things that people tweeted to her, and she made it very clear that she was outraged by this, and so people sent her more offensive things, and there was a bit of a positive feedback. And but the thing is, that's got limited shelf life, that sort of thing. And eventually, once it kind of got a bit tired, she just really faded into the background to the point where now, in the early days when she would release a video, it would get millions of hits and everyone would blog about it and all that sort of thing, and people would write news articles about it. Now she does her weekly radio thing and barely anyone pays any attention. That being said, another thing that always stunned me is just how inefficient she was at turning the money. She got several $1 million over the years and managed to do almost nothing with it. Which it always kind of grated with me. If people are going to give you money, you've kind of got a duty of care to try and turn it into something useful. This is the thing. That's the kind of bubble that I'm in. You get out of that bubble on YouTube. Um, I came across this. Occasionally, I will look around YouTube and see what's going on. There was some guy called Rice Gums. Apparently, his main bit is look at how rich I am. That's it. That's basically his entire shtick. Um, and people still sort of watch his videos. I guess they find him a compelling personality or something. Um, but yeah, so what people get engaged with is fascinating, right? So I've been on YouTube for about 10 years, and over those 10 years, I've gained the best part of 1 million subscribers. That's not really a very useful metric these days because you can gain lots of subscribers over a short period of time and none of them really stick with you or watch your videos. A much more important, maybe, way of judging things is how many people turn up and watch your videos. So, Anita is, I don't know, 250,000 subscribers and a couple of thousand turn up to watch her videos. 1% engagement. It's not so good. Me, I'm at whatever, about 800,000, something like that. And how many watch, my videos typically get about 200,000. So, 25% engagement rate ish, which is, for me, I'm very happy with that. Yeah, so it's one of those things. I never really got into YouTube to make money. I never went into science to make money. I did it because it was interesting. And so that's never been something that greatly appealed to me, but it's still staggering, right? This was one that really blew my mind some way back. Is someone lost more subscribers in a day than I have got on over 10 years on YouTube. But the thing that it was some absolutely trivial spat over. I forget exactly what it was. It was something like there were two makeup gurus, and one of them felt that the other hadn't given them as much credit over some brand deal, or they hadn't given enough brand loyalty, or something like that. And so the guy makeup artist lost 1 million subscribers, but then got him back by the end of the week or something like that. And this, for me, just really throws these things into perspective. I mean, Dawkins had a nice little story about this, that you can sort of see what people care about by going into a bookstore, where you'll see shelf after shelf after shelf on books, things like homeopathy and guardian angels and horoscopes and all that sort of thing. And then you come to the science section of the bookstore, and it's one crappy little section. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. Milo, who today, uh, so Milo, for me, was always, he had a kind of Sarkeesian feeling to him in that he was a one-trick pony. Apart from his one trick wasn't being outraged about what people said on Twitter, it was basically saying outrageous things wherever. And eventually he managed to say things that were so outrageous that even the alt-right, basically everyone turned their back on him. And whilst he was in his edgy days, he would hang out with Richard Spencer, who's got some interesting ideas about society and how it should be run. And anyway, now of all people to basically dish the dirt on Spencer, it's Milo. And Milo also is, well, he's been struggling for some time in that this is from earlier this year. He had to, um, yeah. So Milo has probably had in his time a comparable amount of money to Anita Sarkeesian. Um, And this time I can actually sort of see where he spent the money on really, really stupid things, like a giant gold gilded frame of himself. And now is apparently $2 million in debt. This isn't particularly recent stuff either. This goes back months. So this goes back at least to March this year when he's $2 million in debt, moving house, and his giant gold gilded frame of himself won't survive the truck journey. So he's now selling it to the highest bidder in the next 4 hours to Milo at dangerous.com. By the way, this one is much more recent. Is he's now so broke that he's even had to sell his website. And there are some interesting comments on here about, yeah, give him $9 for it, but he has to set it on fire and watch it burn. I mean, right, I don't have a great problem with contrarians, or contrarians can actually be insightful in some way, shape, or form. Like Hitchens was a great contrarian. Didn't believe everything he said, but he enjoyed making the arguments for things. But Milo never really did any of that. He just sort of said outrageous things. Yeah. Leading to some prize comments like this. Throwback 2 years ago to when Milo came into the Louis Vuitton store I was working at, searching for $1,500 blankets. I mean, Jesus. How times have changed. Indeed, how times have changed. Anyway, so yeah, that was kind of what I wanted to just do a little rant about, how times have changed, and now Milo's channel. If you actually take a look at him, he's pulling in 5,000 views a day, with the possible exception of dishing the dirt on Spencer, which for scathing, this is going to sting, puts him into mundane Matt type viewing figures. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed that little rant. Cheers and have a nice evening.